The bones were arranged in a perfect circle. The bodies were untouched by animals, and the girls were frozen in the exact moment they died. When archaeologists climbed the volcano Lulayaco in 1999, they didn't expect to find 3 Inca children, including a 13-year-old girl, buried alive in a ritual that had remained hidden for nearly 500 years. But this was only one example, because deep inside the Inca Empire, an empire stretching from modern-day Colombia to Chile, young women faced 5 horrific fates that most history books never reveal. Tonight you'll see these acts in full detail, and by the end, you'll understand how an empire celebrated for engineering, architecture, and astronomy built its power on the suffering of the innocent. What they didn't know was, each ritual carried a secret purpose that shaped the empire itself. The girl cannot feel her feet. She is sitting in a shallow pit carved into frozen ground high above the clouds on the spine of the Andes. The air is so thin that every breath feels like a theft. Around her, men move in heavy cloaks. Their lips are cracked, their hands shake, not from fear, from cold and exhaustion. She is maybe 12. Her hair is braided with care. A fine alpaca dress wraps her thin body. Someone has placed a small gold figurine in her lap. A llama, a tiny silver cup, a handful of maize. Her hands rest on top of it all, fingers stiff, trying to remember warmth. She is drunk. Her mouth is dry and bitter from cocoa leaves. Her head swims with chicha. The snow around her is dim and unreal, like a dream she cannot wake from. The priests speak, but their words slide past her. Blessings, prayers. She hears only the wind. It does not blow up here. It cuts. One of the priests kneels in front of her. He tucks the blanket tighter around her shoulders. His face is calm, professional. He is not angry. He is not kind. He is doing his job. He tells her what they told her in Cusco. You are not dying. You are going to live with the gods. You are becoming their bride. The empire will sleep safely under your protection. She tries to answer. Her tongue is heavy. Her jaw will not obey. Her breath fogs in front of her and then vanishes. He brushes a bit of ice from her eyelashes. For a moment she looks like a child again. For a moment he hesitates. Then he stands. Behind her, other pits wait, already filled. Other small bodies curled into the fetal position, wrapped in soft cloth, surrounded by offerings. If you're drawn to real history, where innocence is destroyed in silence, comment where you're watching from and stay with me. A row of children turned into holy objects. A row of lives turned into policy. The priest gives the signal. Snow is pushed around her. Stones, bundles of offerings. The sky narrows. The wind fades. The last thing she feels is not cold, but a strange spreading heat under her skin. Her heart slows. The cocoa and alcohol finish what the mountain began. Up here, on a volcano higher than any European had yet climbed, a little girl falls asleep, believing she has saved her people. Down below, the people will feast and thank the gods. And in the heart of the empire, other little girls will hear her story and pray they are never perfect enough to be chosen. Because this is not where their suffering began, it is where it ended. And for many of them, this was not even the worst fate the Inca state had prepared for them. To understand why a child's corpse sits like a statue on a mountaintop for 500 years, we have to go back down the mountain, down the path, all the way to the villages where she was still just someone's daughter. 15th century reign of the great Pachacuti. The empire is expanding. New valleys, new tribes, new harvests, and new children. Imagine a small Andean village clinging to the side of a steep slope. Houses of stone and thatch, terraces cut into the mountainside. People up before dawn, hands in the soil, eyes on the sky. Life is hard but predictable. There is one day, though, that does not fit into the cycle of planting and harvest. One day the villagers fear more than drought, more than frost, more than sickness. It is the day the imperial officials appear on the Inca road. They are not warriors. No spears, no blood on their tunics. They wear fine cloth dyed in bright colors. They carry tally cords. They walk with the calm of men who know no one will say no to them. They are there to count. Not maize, not llamas, not textiles. They are there to count girls. When they arrive in the village square, the air changes. Conversations die mid-sentence. Mothers pull their daughters behind them. Fathers stare at the ground. No drums, no songs, just a thick, waiting silence. The order comes quickly. Line them up. Girls between 8 and 10, too young to understand all of it, old enough to be afraid. They stand in a row, bare feet on packed earth, small hands shaking at their sides. The officials move down the line. They tilt chins up, pull lips back to check teeth, run fingers along arms and legs, searching a scar from a childhood fall. A birthmark on the wrong spot. A mole that breaks the smoothness of skin. Any flaw is enough. Not this one. Next. They are not choosing personalities. They are choosing bodies. The empire wants raw material. It wants symbols. It wants perfection. For a girl's family, the moment the hand stops on their daughter is a knife that cuts two ways. On one side, privilege, exemptions from some labor, extra animals, better status. The empire rewards loyalty generously. The father can tell himself he has just bought his family's future. On the other side, absence. A bed that will stay empty. A voice that will not be heard again at the evening fire. A little pair of sandals that will never walk back through the doorway. The official speaks the word that changes everything. Akela chosen. From that moment, the girl is no longer a villager. Her old name will not appear in the records again. The scribes will write a new one linked to the state and the gods. Her past is cut off like a braid of hair. There is no time to negotiate, no time to make plans, sometimes not even time to cry properly. The girl is pulled from her mother's arms, set in the line, turned toward the road. Her childhood ends in the middle of the village square. Her work for the state has just started, and this human inventory is only the first step in a system designed to strip these GIRLs of everything they are. The journey to the imperial center is long. The girls travel with guards and officials along paved stone roads. They sleep in way stations. They see valleys and mountains they have never imagined. It is their first and last look at the outside world as free people. When they reach Cusco or a provincial capital, they do not go to a temple plaza. They are led to a building that dominates the city like a block of carved mountain, the Akalawazi. From the street it looks more like a fortress than a home. Walls of finely cut stone rise without gaps. No balconies, no windows opening to the city, just flat blind angles. You cannot see in, no one inside can see out. The doors close behind them with a heavy final sound. A bar drops into place. You do not need to tell a child what that means. She hears it in her stomach. Freedom just ended. Inside the Akalawazi is another world. Courtyards, workshops, storage rooms, sleeping halls, gardens. Sunlight reaches the stone, but the place feels closed, controlled. The girls are surrounded by other girls, dozens, hundreds. No father, no brother, no boy from the neighboring house. The only men allowed inside are the Sapa Inca himself, considered a living god and the rare physician. Even the guards at the gates are eunuchs, men whose bodies have been altered so they can be trusted inside this system without desire. Their high voices and flat faces are a warning. The state can cut anything it needs to cut to keep control. The true power here, though, belongs to the older women. The Mamaconas, they were once chosen girls too. Some were never selected for sacrifice. Some were too valuable to send away. Some simply had nowhere else to go when their youth ended. Now they run the Akalawasi with steady hands and eyes that miss nothing. Training starts immediately. Every day has a pattern. Wake, ritual, work, instructee. On, more work, short sleep. The girls learn to weave kumbi, the finest fabric of the empire. Thin vunia wool, complex patterns, cloth so soft it is fit only for temples and the emperor's skin. Small fingers pull, twist, tie and pull again until they ache. A mistake is not just a workplace error. A flaw in the cloth is an offense against the gods. They also learn to brew chicha. They chew maize until their jaws ache. Spit it out, let it ferment. The resulting beer will be poured at festivals, drunk by priests who never learn the names of the girls who made it. All of this is called service, but the real work is happening inside their heads. The Mamaconas do not shout. They repeat every day, every ritual, every correction. They press the same sentences into the girls' minds like hands pressing clay. You do not belong to your parents. You do not belong to yourself. Your skin is the state's. Your hair is the state's. Your womb is the state's. You are not a person. You are an offering. Any memory of home is labeled dangerous. Missing your mother is disloyalty. Thinking about boys is corruption. Wanting something for yourself is betrayal. They live better than the peasants outside. Soft blankets, enough food, meat more often than most people see in a year. Fruit, warmth, baths. Their bodies are fed and cared for with real attention. But this is not kindness, it is investment. The empire is raising them like livestock meant for a special market. Their skin is rubbed with oils, their hair is washed with scented herbs, their teeth are inspected regularly, their posture corrected, their behavior noted. Each day polishes them a little more, and every small bit of polish takes away something of who they used to be. This is how the empire wins, not through one dramatic act of cruelty, through a slow, total recalibration of what these girls think they are. And still, as they grow older, there is another layer the system has not yet revealed. Years pass inside the walls. The girls who arrived at 8 now stand taller, their voices lower, their bodies change. In the dormitories at night, they whisper about what will happen next. No one tells them clearly. Rumors leak through cracks like cold air. They know one thing: no one stays a child forever in the house of the chosen. Time here is not measured by the seasons, it is measured by biology. One day a girl wakes to find a stain of dark red on her white tunic. She has become useful in a new way. When enough girls reach that point, the officials return to the archaeological, not the daily overseers, higher-ranking men from the state. They walk through the gates with a different energy. This is not inspection, this is harvest. The young women are lined up again in a courtyard. The air hums with tension. No one explains the categories to them, but they will learn fast. The empire has 3 plans for them. The first is politics. Some girls are beautiful, but not quite the image the high priesthood wants on a mountaintop or a temple. Their skin is a little darker. Their lineage is from conquered chiefs. Their bodies can be spent in a different way. They become gift virgins. They are given to loyal nobles or local rulers in distant provinces. They leave the archaeological as symbols of favor, as passports to alliances, as living gifts that prove the emperor's generosity. One day you are told you are a bride of the sun. The next you are in the bed of a man you have never met, in a place you have never seen. Your body turned into a tool for securing power and producing etch. The second path is permanence. A smaller number are offered a different kind of life sentence. Stay, take vows of celibacy, become a mama, teach the next generation to obey, enforce the same rules that once confined you. You survive, you do not live. The third path is the one everyone whispers about in the dark. Kappa culture, the perfect girls, the ones with no scars, no marks, no flaws, no visible stain, the ones whose beauty makes even the officials pause. These are chosen for the ultimate role, sacrifice. They are told it is an honor beyond measure, that they will not really die, that they will become intermediaries between the people and the gods. Their names will be remembered in rituals, their spirits will watch over the empire. The adults around them speak as if they have been given a throne. The girls' hands shake, and even this, as terrifying as it is still not the most extreme punishment the system has in reserve, because there is another category the officials do not name in the courtyard. A category reserved for those who step outside the roles assigned to them. For them, the empire has a fate even quieter, even slower than death on a mountain. Before that, there is a show. When a group of Kapako girls has been selected, the empire does not send them away in secret. It throws a festival. Cusco fills with people. Banners wave, drums pound, priests chant, animals are led to slaughter as offerings. The supper Inca appears in public. The living son of the sun and the chosen girls are brought out before him. They are dressed in the finest fabric. They helped weave jewelry of gold and silver feathers from distant forests in their hair. The crowd stares, some with awe, some with pity, some with relief that their own daughters are not in that line. Everyone knows what this means. The girls are paraded as holy, celebrated as selfless. They are told again and again that they are saving the empire from drought, from earthquakes, from famine. Their fear is painted over with flattery. This is the last time they will walk on flat ground surrounded by so many human faces. When the festival ends, the real journey begins. The procession leaves the capital and heads towards the mountains called APUs, sacred peaks, places where the gods are believed to live. The route is long, weeks, sometimes months, up valleys, across rivers, through thin forests of dark trees, always climbing. At first, the girls can still talk to each other. They joke. They share stories of their villages. They cry a little at night. The air is cold but still breathable. Then the world changes. The green disappears. The trees vanish. The ground beneath their sandals becomes rock, then ice. The wind grows sharper. Breathing becomes an effort. Each step feels like lifting someone else's body, and here the system shows another layer of its planning. The priests start giving them more chicha, not a taste. Cups, then more cups. The girls drink until their limbs feel warm and loose. Their thoughts slide away from the edge of panic. Their mouths are filled with cocoa leaves. It is a common remedy in the Andes. It helps with altitude sickness. It numbs hunger. It keeps people moving when they should have collapsed hours ago. The doses here are not medicinal. They are strategic. By the time the procession reaches the highest slopes, the girls are walking like sleepwalkers. Their cheeks are flushed from alcohol. Their jaws ache from chewing cocoa. Their eyes look unfocused, staring somewhere between the ground and the sky. They are exhausted, hypoxic, numb. The priests call this mercy. The empire calls it efficiency because a terrified, fully aware child might try to run, might scream, might resist at the last moment. A sedated child can be guided into a grave and told it is a bed. When they finally reach the summit, the air feels like knives going into their lungs. Temperatures fall far below freezing. The landscape is nothing but white and stone and sky. The ceremonial site waits for them. Shallow pits have been carved, stone platforms arranged, offerings prepared. The altar is the mountain itself. The girls are placed one by one in their small hollows, knees pulled up towards their chest, arms wrapped around their legs, heads bowed, the fetal position, the first posture of life, now the last. Blankets around them, little packages of food nearby, small statues, ornaments, tools, everything a person might need for a long journey. Then the priests step back. Up here, no one hears the final words except the wind. In some cases, the girls simply slip deeper into sleep. The combination of cold, alcohol, cocoa, and lack of oxygen shuts their bodies down. They feel a strange heat. They drift. They stop. Their corpses freeze solid before decay can touch them. In others, the end is faster and more direct. Archaeologists centuries later would find skull fractures, the kind of wound made by a single heavy blow from a stone club, a killing strike. Quick, precise. Maybe the girl woke up at the wrong moment. Maybe the drug fog cleared just enough for terror to break through. Maybe her body tried to stand, to run, to fight. The empire did not build its rituals to be interrupted. One way or another, the mountain gets its bride. The procession descends, leaving behind only stones, offerings, and small frozen bodies curled in the snow. Far below, in warm valleys, the people celebrate. The priests announce that the gods have been fed. The harvest will be safe. The earthquakes will stay calm. Up above, in a place without sound, a line of children sits in death, their skin preserved, their eyes closed. They stop being daughters. They become symbols. And for all the horror of this, for all the calculated coldness of turning a child into a religious tool, there is still a fate inside the empire that is quieter, more private, and in many ways more cruel. It is reserved not for the perfect, but for the disobedient. The Aelis are called virgins of the sun. The system is obsessed with their purity. Their bodies are property of the state, property of the gods. Any unauthorized touch, any secret desire acted upon is treated not as a sin but as theft. And the Inca state does not forgive thieves easily. If a girl in the Acalawasi is discovered to have broken her vow, if she becomes pregnant, or if someone confesses, or if a rumor is believed, the machine that once coddled her suddenly shows its teeth. There will be an investigation. Quiet, controlled, witnesses questioned. The mamas watch every reaction. There is no real presumption of innocence. The Empire cares more about the message than the truth. What matters is this: a sacred body has been used without permission. In most legal systems, a crime like this would end with public blood, a hanging, a beheading, a beating. Here, the law says something different. The girl's blood is sacred. It cannot be spilled. So they choose another way to erase her. She's taken away from the courtyards and workshops, away from the light, not to a tall mountain dressed like a goddess, to a low, hidden place, an underground chamber, a small cave somewhere the public will never see. There is no ceremony, no festival, no songs, just priests, stones, and silence. She is put inside. No robes, no blows, no swords, just space, stone walls, a roof barely above her head. The entrance is still open. For a moment she might think this is a cell. Then she sees the bowl of water, the handful of maize. That is not mercy. That is time. Time for her to feel the door closing. Time for her to understand what is happening. Time for her breath to echo back at her from the walls. Time for hope to thin. The way the air thins on the high peaks, the opening is sealed with heavy rocks, mud packed into gaps. The light narrows, then disappears. No one will come back. Her screens hit stone and go nowhere. Her fingernails scrape rock until they tear. The air turns stale. The dark becomes so complete that her own body feels like a stranger's. She is dying slowly in a hole no one will visit, in a space no one will mark for a crime that hurt no one's body but violated everyone's fear. Her blood is not spilled. It dries unseen inside her veins. She is erased. The man who touched her or who was accused of touching her faces, another kind of annihilation. He is executed. That is expected. But the Inca punishment does not stop at the individual. His wife, his children, his parents, in some cases even his animals, all removed. His house torn down, his fields destroyed. Officials scatter salt over the land where his family lived and planted. Whether the salt actually kills the soil or simply marks it, the message is clear. Nothing will grow here again. Not crops, not descendants, not memory. This is how you teach an entire population that a woman's body is not a person. It is a state asset. To touch it without permission is not just adultery. It is treason. Fear, not faith, keeps the pure. And while these girls are being turned into offerings or bored into darkness, the system that uses them is already collapsing towards its own end. Because somewhere across the sea, ships have already left Spain. For centuries, everything we knew about these girls and their sacrifices came from people who never loved them. Priests who justified them, conquerors who condemned them, storytellers who wrapped them in legend. Then the mountains started giving up their dead. Modern climbers and archaeologists found the frozen bodies. Children sitting as if asleep, skin intact, hair in braids, clothing still bright under the ice. In labs far from the Andes under bright white lights, scientists began to examine them. Microscopes, scans, chemical tests, no. To judge their souls, to read their bodies. They cut small strands of hair. Human hair grows about a centimeter a month. Each piece is a timeline, a record of what that person ate and drank, a record of stress, a record of change. For the Maiden of Laco, for Juanita from Ato, the pattern was the same. A sudden shift about a year before death. Potatoes, the food of peasants, vanish from the chemical record. Llama meat and maize, elite foods, appear. Their diets improve drastically exactly when the imperial system would have taken them and brought them into the Akalawazi. Then in the months right before death, something else spikes, cortisol. It is a hormone the body releases when it is under intense stress, fear, panic, trauma. The levels in these girls' hair climb higher and higher as their final day approaches. They did not walk calmly into the snow, filled with peace about their holy duty. Their bodies were screaming long before their mouths could. Toxicology shows another pattern. cocoa and alcohol rising sharply in the weeks before death, not occasional, persistent, strong. Sedation was not just ritual, it was logistics. It was the state making sure their offerings could walk to the altar without collapsing into terror or flight. The science does not tell us what words they fought when they closed their eyes for the last time. It does not tell us the precise sound of the rock sliding in front of a burial cave, but it shatters the comforting lie that they volunteered with clear minds and joyful hearts. These were children groomed, isolated, drugged, and killed by a system that called itself sacred. When the Spanish arrived in the Andes in the 16th century, they looked at the Acalawasi and saw corruption. They heard about Capic and saw devil worship. They wrote furious pages about pagan cruelty. Then they raided the same houses, the virgins of the sun who did not manage to run, who did not die in the chaos, were divided up as spoils of war, handed out to soldiers, forced into new beds, pushed into Catholic convents where the names of the gods changed, but the walls did not. They went from being offerings to one empire to being property for another. Their voices were buried twice, first under snow, then under history. Today, some of them sit behind glass in climate-controlled museums. The air temperature is carefully regulated, the humidity is monitored, placards explain their significance. Tourists file past, whispering, "They are still beautiful." Their hair still lies in careful braids. Their faces, though shrunk by time, still carry the softness of youth. They do not look like monsters. They do not look like saints. They look like what they were. Children caught between a state and a god. We like to admire the Inca, their roads, their architecture, their agricultural terraces carved into impossible slopes, the almost surgical precision of their stonework, their ability to rule such harsh landscapes. All of that is real. So is this. None of that engineering genius existed, apart from a system willing to turn girls into offerings, to erase families for secrets in the dark, to use fear as the mortar holding society together. The mountains remembered what the chronicles tried to twist. The hair remembered what the prayers tried to hide. And now you know. So here is the only question that matters at the end of this story. When you look at the frozen face of a sacrificed girl, do you see devotion? Or do you see a child who never got to choose whether her beauty would be a blessing or a death sentence? Answer that and then decide how much of our own world still runs on the same quiet bargain. Safety for some, paid for with the silence of those who never agreed to be the price. If this story moved you, support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. The Inca Empire is often remembered for Machu Picchu, road systems, and astronomical genius. But behind the beauty was a system built on the suffering of vulnerable young women. Their stories were meant to be forgotten, but today we bring them back to life. If you want more hidden histories and dark truths buried beneath ancient empires, make sure you subscribe, comment below which act shocked you the most, and tell us, what state are you watching from? And if you're ready for another disturbing chapter in human history, watch our next episode, The Terrifying Burials Beneath the Aztec Pyramid of Skulls.